There are moments when the world feels too perfect, too calculated, too scripted. You wake up. You breathe. You follow the rules. But something deep inside keeps whispering, this isn't all there is. What if everything you know, everything you've ever believed, is just the surface? What if reality is just the most advanced illusion ever created? A game. A test. A dream within a dream. You're not here by accident. You've been searching. And now, the code is starting to crack. There's something strange about reality. You feel it, don't you? That subtle, almost imperceptible sense that things are not quite as they seem. That something is off. Not wrong. Not broken. Just slightly out of place. Like waking up in a room that looks exactly like yours, but one detail, just one, isn't where it should be. And it lingers. That feeling. That question that hides behind the noise of daily life. What is this place? We call it the world. Reality. Existence. But do we truly know what we're inside of? From the moment you were born, you've been fed a story. A narrative of what this life is. You're a biological creature, on a spinning rock, orbiting a ball of fire, in an infinite void. You're told this is all there is. That matter makes up everything. That consciousness is just a side effect of chemical reactions. But there's something hollow in that explanation. Isn't there? Because deep down, you felt moments where the illusion thins. Where the veil trembles. Where coincidence seems too precise, time too elastic, events too perfectly aligned to be random. What if it's not just a feeling? What if it's the truth trying to reach you through the cracks? The simulation hypothesis isn't just science fiction anymore. It's a possibility taken seriously by physicists, philosophers, engineers, and visionaries. The idea that the universe isn't a universe at all, but a simulation. A program. A vast, detailed, almost incomprehensibly complex game. And you? You might be a character inside of it. Maybe you think that's impossible. That a simulation could never be this real. But what is real exactly? Is it the hardness of a chair beneath you? The sound of your voice when you speak? The way your body feels when the wind touches your skin? All of these are interpreted experiences. Translations. You never actually touch the world. Your brain interprets electrical signals generated by sensory input. All experience is mediated, filtered through your mind. So if your mind can be tricked by a dream, a hallucination, a false memory, why can't it be tricked by something far more elaborate? If you've ever played a video game with a deep storyline, with a world so rich in detail it pulls you in and makes you feel, then you already know that immersion doesn't require reality, it requires convincing. It requires a system so good, you forget it's not real. And now imagine that technology not in 2025, but in 3025. Or 30,025. Advanced civilizations would be capable of building simulations indistinguishable from reality. Worlds within worlds. Histories within histories. And if it's possible, then it's probable. In fact, statistically speaking, it becomes more likely that you are within one of those simulations than in the one true original reality. But there's more. It's not just about probability. It's about the strange fingerprints left behind, clues scattered throughout existence like breadcrumbs leading out of a dream. Physics, the most grounded of sciences, begins to look suspiciously digital the deeper you go. Particles behave like bits on or off. Information seems to be more fundamental than matter. The universe itself appears to be quantized. Space and time come in discrete units. There's a limit to how small things can be. A pixel size to reality. And then there are the patterns. Fractals in nature, repeating codes in DNA, sacred geometry that echoes across ancient civilizations. It's almost as if the universe was designed by a common language. A script. A code. Some say we're seeing the edges of the simulation. The underlying structure. Others call it the mind of God. But in either case, the feeling is the same. This world might be running on rules that someone or something wrote. But what kind of game would this be? If it's a simulation, it isn't random. Simulations are designed with intention, with architecture, with purpose. So why are you here? To learn? To suffer? To love? To evolve? Or is the real goal even more profound, to remember? Perhaps you once knew. Perhaps you once existed outside this construct. A consciousness so vast, so free, it chose limitation. It chose a game. It chose amnesia, to experience rediscovery. In a game, you are meant to explore. To try. To fail. To awaken. You are meant to forget the controls, until you find them again. The deeper the illusion, the greater the impact of waking up. And if that's the case, if you're not a prisoner here, but a participant, then maybe every hardship, every joy, every twist and turn is part of the story you chose to tell. Maybe you're not being controlled. Maybe you're playing. And just forgot. The question then isn't just, is this a simulation? The question is, who are you outside of it? What kind of being could dream this vividly? What kind of intelligence could create an entire world that you could taste, touch, fear, and fall in love within? And what would happen if that intelligence began to remember itself through you? Some ancient traditions whispered the idea that this world is Maya illusion. Not a lie, but a veil. A projection. Thousands of years before modern computers, mystics and sages described reality as a dream shared by minds that forgot they were dreaming. Perhaps we're not discovering something new. Perhaps we're simply remembering something ancient. And if this is a game, then what happens when it ends? Do you wake up in a lab? In a higher dimension? Or does the game continue, but in another form? Another identity? Another life? Maybe death isn't the end. Maybe it's just the logout screen. But even if this is all just a game, what a game it is. One that lets you laugh, cry, touch, lose, grow, love. One that gives you the illusion of separateness just so you can rediscover unity. That hides the truth in plain sight, daring you to look a little closer. To question. To remember. And now, maybe you are. So if you've come this far, if the voice in your mind is still echoing with curiosity, with wonder, with a quiet, growing suspicion that there is more, then you've already begun to step beyond the veil. And perhaps that's the only real objective. To wake up. And see that you've always been more than a player. You are the dreamer of the game. And the game is just beginning. If reality is a game, then somewhere, hidden in the silence between thoughts, is the player. But what if there's more than one? What if every person you've ever met, friend, stranger, enemy, was another player, equally lost, equally immersed? What if the illusion isn't just that you're real, but that you're separate? Consider this: in a video game, characters move through time. One action follows another. Cause. Effect. Sequence. But underneath it all, outside the screen, the entire game already exists. Every level, every possibility, every ending already programmed, already waiting. So what if time as you know it is just a narrative device? A storyline built for experience. Not because the events are unfolding in order, but because your consciousness is moving through them in order. Like flipping through a book. The past isn't behind you. The future isn't ahead. They're simply pages, and you're reading one at a time. Some physicists now propose that all moments in time coexist. That your past, present, and future are already there, written into the structure of the cosmos. So the question isn't, what will happen? It's, which part of the story are you in right now? And what would change if you knew the story wasn't being written, but being remembered? There's something strange about memory. It's not just the past you remember. Sometimes, you glimpse moments that haven't happened. People you've never met. Places you've never been. You call it imagination. You call it déjà vu. But what if it's something more? What if it's bleed through? What if those flickers are echoes of other versions of you? Other timelines? Other playthroughs? You've felt it. That sense that you've been here before. That strange familiarity in a stranger's eyes. That inner nudge to make a choice you can't explain. Where does it come from? If the game allows for multiple outcomes, if it branches, shifts, adapts to your awareness, then perhaps your intuition is more than a guess. Perhaps it's a signal. A message from your higher self. The version of you that exists outside time. The version that's seen the game from every angle. And now, it's whispering through instinct, trying to steer you. Have you been listening? Most don't. Most get caught in the loop. Wake up. Work. Consume. Sleep. Repeat. They become non-player characters in their own lives, predictable, automatic, disconnected. But the moment you start asking questions, the moment you pause, the moment you wonder if any of this is real, something changes. The code begins to respond. The simulation notices you noticing it. Glitches increase. Patterns emerge. The world starts folding in on itself in small, elegant ways, as if it's trying to say, yes, you're close. Keep going. And that's when fear creeps in. Because once you start to awaken, the world may push back. Not to punish you, but to test you. To ask, are you really ready to leave the script behind? Are you ready to reclaim your agency, your authorship, your being? The truth is, most people don't want freedom. They want comfort. Predictability. A narrative they can follow without questioning. But you're here. Still watching. Still listening. Still wondering. That means you've already stepped outside the default. So now ask yourself, what kind of game would require you to forget who you are in order to win? What kind of intelligence would choose to limit itself, to enter a world of pain, confusion, and uncertainty, just for the possibility of rediscovering its power? Wouldn't that be the ultimate adventure? To start as nothing, and realize you are everything? To enter the darkness, and remember you are the light? Here's the paradox. If this is all a simulation, then nothing is real. But if nothing is real, then everything is possible. And that's where the real game begins. Not in escaping the illusion, but in mastering it. You don't need to leave the game to wake up. You need to remember that you are not the character. Not the story. Not even the mind watching it all unfold. You are the presence behind the story. You are the one who chose to play. And the only way out is through. So play boldly. Because now, you know. You've made it this far. That alone says something. Most don't question. Most don't look twice. But you did. You looked into the fabric of reality and found something staring back. And now, the questions have only deepened. If this world is a simulation, who built it? We often assume a higher civilization. A future intelligence. Something more evolved than us, capable of building this digital womb we call existence. But what if the architects are not outside of it? What if the creators of the simulation are still inside? Still bound. Still exploring. Still trying to remember what they are. What if this isn't just a game for us, but for them, too? A recursive loop. A simulation inside a simulation. Players becoming architects. Architects becoming lost. And each time they forget, they become us. This changes everything. Because if the creators don't remember their own creation, then the system isn't just simulated. It's self-sustaining. A living echo. A cosmic feedback loop that perpetuates itself through amnesia. Not a prison. Not an experiment. But a mirror. A mirror so detailed, so complete, that even the face behind the glass forgets it's looking at itself. Visual, a mirror reflects a person's face, but as they walk away, the reflection keeps watching. Maybe that's why everything here feels so familiar and so alien at the same time. Why dreams blur into memories. Why certain moments feel like déjà vu, like replays of a scene you swear you've lived before. You're not just a player wandering through this coded world. You're part of the code. You're made of the same stuff, just rendered differently. Consciousness taking form in temporary patterns. The question is no longer, is this a simulation? The question is, how deep does the simulation go? Are there levels you haven't reached yet? Layers of reality stacked like nested worlds, each one more convincing than the last? And if so, how do you know you're not still dreaming? Even after death, is it another level? Another rendering? What if reincarnation isn't just a spiritual concept, but a system reboot? You don't die. You re-enter. A different character. A new storyline. Another chance to wake up. And sometimes, the memory leaks. A child speaks a language they never learned. A person recalls a place they've never visited. An unexplainable fear. A sudden gift. A name that pulls at something buried. It's not magic. It's the trace of code left behind from your last save file. And the deeper you go, the thinner the boundary becomes between realities. Sometimes, people see through it for a moment. They catch a flicker. A glitch. A detail that shouldn't be there. A moment that feels like a break in the script. You might have had one. A time when the world didn't behave. When reality bent. Not dramatically. Just enough to feel it. Just enough to remember, this isn't all there is. Cut to a figure walking into a wall that dissolves into stars. But here's the wildest part of all. What if the simulation isn't just happening around you? What if you're running it? Not consciously. But from some higher version of yourself. A self that exists beyond time. Beyond thought. A self that fractured into infinite identities just to experience itself from every angle. In that case, you are the builder. You are the architect. The explorer. The forgotten god walking through its own creation. And you've hidden the exit behind the one place no one dares to look. Inside. Not in the sky. Not in outer space. Not in another galaxy. But in your own awareness. Your capacity to notice the noticing. To feel the emptiness beneath the noise. To hear the silence that holds every sound. That's the key. The interface isn't on a screen. It's your attention. Where you place it is how you move through the code. And maybe that's the final trick of the simulation. To convince you that you're powerless, when all along, you were the one keeping the game alive. So now the game waits. It waits for the player to remember that they are not inside it. They are beyond it. They are the one dreaming the simulation into being, again and again, across infinite timelines. And the moment you remember that, the simulation will no longer control you. You'll be playing by different rules. Your own.